Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya. Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauravakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare 332:11 अततं सर्वभूतानां हृत्पद्मेषु कृतालयं श्रुतानुभावं शरणं व्रजभावेन भामिनी. Therefore, my dear mother, by devotional service, take direct shelter of the Supreme Person of Godhead who is seated in everyone's heart. But one can attain direct contact with the Supreme Person of Godhead in full Krishna consciousness and revive one's eternal relationship with Him as lover, as Supreme Soul. It is said as Supreme Soul, as Son, as friend, or as Master. One can re-establish the transcendental loving relationship with the Supreme Lord in so many ways, and that feeling is true oneness. The oneness of the Mayavadi philosophers and the oneness of Vaishnava philosophers are different. The Mayavadi and Vaishnava philosophers both want to merge into the Supreme, but the Vaishnavas do not lose their identities. They want to keep the identity of lover, parent, friend, or servant. In the transcendental world, the servant and master are one, that is the absolute platform. Although a relationship is servant and master, both the servant and the served stand on the same platform. Okay, we've read this, I think. Yeah. Yeah, we read that. 332:12 to 15. Adyasthiracharanam yo Vedagarbha Sahasrashibhi Yogeshwarai Kumaradhyaihi Siddhe Pravartakaihi Veda Drishthyabhimanena Nisangenapi Karmana Kartrutvat Sagunam Brahma Purusham Purusharshabam Sasamsritya Punakale Kaleneshwaramurtina Jate Gunavyadikare यथा पूर्वं प्रजायते ऐश्वर्यं पारमेष्ट्यं च तेऽपि धर्मविनिर्मितं निषेव्य पुनरायान्ति गुणव्यतिकरे सति. My dear mother, someone may worship the Supreme Person of Godhead with a special self-interest. But even demigods such as Lord Brahma, great sages such as Sanat Kumara, and great munis such as Marichi have to come back to the material world again at the time of creation. When the interaction of the three modes of material nature begins, Brahma, who is the creator of this cosmic manifestation and is full of Vedic knowledge, and the great sages who are the authors of the spiritual path and the yoga system, come back under the influence of the time factor. They are liberated by their non-fruitive activities and attain the first incarnation of the Purusha. But at the time of creation, they come back in exactly the same forms and positions they previously had. That Brahma becomes liberated is known to everyone, but he cannot liberate his devotees. Demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot give liberation to any living entity. As is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, only one who surrenders unto Krishna can be liberated from the clutches of Maya. Brahma, he is called here Adhya Sthira Charanam. He is the original first created living entity, and after his own birth, he creates the entire cosmic manifestation. He was fully instructed in the matter of creation by the Supreme Lord. Here he is called Veda Garbha, which means that he knows the complete purpose of the Vedas. is always accompanied by such great personalities as Marichi, Kashyapa, and the seven sages, as well as by great mystic yogis, the Kumaras, and many other spiritually advanced living entities. But he has his own interest separate from the Lord's. Bheda Drishtiya means that Brahma sometimes thinks that he is independent of the Supreme Lord, or he thinks of himself as one of the three equally independent incarnations. Please note this is only sometimes Brahma thinks like this. His own interest separate from the Lord's is only sometimes. Brahma is interested with creation, Vishnu maintains, and Rudra, Lord Shiva destroys. The three of them are understood to be the incarnation of the Supreme Lord in charge of the three different material modes of nature. But none of them is independent of the Supreme Lord. Here the word Bheda Drishtiya occurs because Brahma has a slight inclination to think that he is as independent as Rudra. Sometimes Brahma thinks that he is independent of the Supreme Lord, and the worshipper also thinks that Brahma is independent. For this reason, after the destruction of this material world, when there is again creation by the interaction of the material modes of nature, Brahma comes back. Although Brahma reaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the first Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, who is full with transcendental qualities, he cannot stay in the spiritual world. The specific significance of his coming back may be noted. Brahma and the great rishis and the great master of yoga, Shiva, are not ordinary living entities. They are very powerful and have all the perfections of mystic yoga, but still they have an inclination to try and become one with the Supreme, and therefore they have to come back. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is accepted that as long as one thinks that he is equal with the Supreme Lord, he is not completely purified or knowledgeable. In spite of going up to the first Purusha Avatara, Vishnu, after the dissolution of this material creation, whose personalities again fall down or come back to the material creation. It is a great fall down on the part of impersonalists to think that Supreme Lord appears within a material body, and that one should therefore not meditate upon the form of the Supreme but should meditate instead on the formless. For this particular mistake, even the great mystic yogis or great stalwart transcendentalists also come back again when there is creation. All living entities other than impersonalists and monism can directly take to devotional service in full Krishna consciousness and become liberated by developing transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord. Such devotional service develops in the degrees of thinking the Supreme Lord as master, friend, son, and at last as lover. These distinctions in transcendental variegatedness must always be present. Okay, so what is being said here is that sometimes Brahma thinks himself independent of the Supreme Lord, or he thinks himself as independent as Rudra. Rudra is independent to a much greater extent than Brahma because Rudra is not a Jiva Tattva. So anyway, Shiva Tattva we will not discuss here, but the basic point here is Brahma sometimes thinks he is independent, and also the followers of Brahma mm, and the worshipper of Brahma also thinks that Brahma is independent. Now, when Brahma thinks like this and his worshippers also think like this, that means they have an inclination uh, lording it over, right? Thinking of they're not very clear about their actual position. So this is not perfect knowledge. So here it is saying he is not completely purified or knowledgeable. So when Brahma thinks like this, he is not completely purified. So he comes back, even though he goes up to Mahavishnu, which is Prabhupada is saying here is that it is actually uh, because he enters Mahavishnu, so it is uh, he is liberated, but he comes back. Mm, because Mahavishnu is full of transcendental qualities, he cannot stay in the spiritual world. So Prabhupada is saying that this is spiritual world, but he cannot stay there because he has this uh, inclination to think that he is independent. So anybody who thinks he is independent and his followers, everybody, however qualified they are, whatever process they have followed, etc., they have to come back, even if they go up to the spiritual sky or even up to Mahavishnu in this case. So even the impersonalists, So they also have to come back, and because they are thinking that they are not accepting the transcendence of the Supreme Lord. So they have to come back. Uh, so only those who take up to devotional service in full Krishna consciousness and become liberated by developing transcendental love, he will not come back. So in this, one thing we can understand. So getting mukti is not, doesn't seem so difficult, but remaining there seems to be difficult. Um, so all, even the position for transcendent impersonalist seems very flaky, risky. Only the devotee's position is very, very safe. And please note that this is not all Brahmas, because previously we talked about the indirect path where the living entities would come to Brahmaloka. After they give up their body, they merge into the body of Brahma, and then when Brahma's 100 years are over, Brahma goes to the spiritual world and they also go. So this is not every Brahma who has to come back. This is not every Brahma. This is only that Brahma who thinks of himself as independent. And those followers of Brahma who think Brahma to be independent, only they come back. And of course, impersonalists come back. That multiple reasons are there that we know. They engage in social welfare work, etc. Yeah, Vinod Prabhu, you had a question?
Yeah, Prabhu. So my question is basically, I'm confused. So is Brahma,
I
what
answered.
I understood is like, is it a Jiva Tattva? Is Brahma a Jiva Tattva or incarnation? Because in this
No,
verse
no,
it is
Brahma is
saying
Jiva Tattva. Brahma
Jiva
is Jiva
Tattva.
Tattva. See,
Okay.
the because Brahma is Lord has chosen Brahma to also take care of the mode of passion,
Hmm.
right? So, but he's so in some sense empowered, right?
Okay,
So
yeah, he's empowered, but it's still a Jiva Tattva and still a
he's a
position,
Jiva
right?
Tattva. He's a
Okay,
Jiva Tattva.
okay,
But he's
okay.
empowered to take up this to take care of the mode of passion. So he's
Okay.
called Gunavatara. So when we say Avatara, it doesn't mean that he's a Vishnu Tattva incarnation. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
that they are called Swamsha Vistarana. This
Okay.
is
So
actually
Guna, okay.
Shaktyavesha. Right.
Shakti
So of course, I
Avesha.
mean here technically we call Brahma Guna
Mm-hmm.
because he's yeah, I mean permanently Brahma's position is always endowed with this power
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
take care of mode of passion. But
Right.
then sometimes some other jivas are specifically chosen for being empowered for certain roles. So they are specific. Technically, they are called Shaktavesha. Though Brahma has been actually empowered,
Mm-hmm.
still he's technically he's called Gunavatara. But yeah, he's still
Okay.
a jiva. He's not Vishnu Tattva.
Sure, problem. I think you answered my other question. Basically, uh, Brahma going all the way up to spiritual sky. I mean, to Mahavishnu and then coming back.
Yeah.
So it does not happen to all the Brahmas, right? Because
Yeah.
especially current our Brahma right now he has compiled Brahma Samhita, right? So with
Yeah.
so much understanding. Uh, so I mean, he should still have a chance to go back to the spiritual sky, right? Not come back again.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
mean, there are
what
devotee
it's saying.
Brahmas and non-devotee Brahmas. So
Okay.
sometimes there'll be non-devotee Brahmas. They end up like this, but devotee Brahmas they go back.
So our
Because they
current
should
Brahma,
understand when
like,
we say devotee
yes,
Brahma, because the Jiva who has taken the position of Brahma is
mm-hmm.
not only qualified as per Varnashrama, but is also devotee.
Right,
Not
right.
like every Brahma is a devotee. They
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be a devotee. And the devotee Brahmas actually do, yeah,
So the
do.
Brahma Samhita that we read, Prabhu, is it like
These are
our
by a
current
devotee.
Brahma has compiled? Current Brahma?
Current Brahma, I don't think I've read anywhere saying that he's current Brahma.
Okay.
But yeah, okay, yeah, we can say like this because every creation, when the creation has to happen, that current Brahma only gets realization. But whether, yeah, so yeah, I mean, not sure whether our Brahma is a Brahma of this. Oh yeah, yeah. Our Brahma has to be a devotee because he
Mm-hmm.
was Krishna appeared and he bestowed his mercy on him. Yeah. So our because we are in this. seventh Manu, 28 Chaturyuga. Yes, this um, Brahma. Oh, but no, I'm not correct because Brahma Krishna anyway appears in once in the day of Brahma. So yeah, so not sure about that
Mhm.
answer
Okay,
because
bro. Okay, that's fine.
Krishna appears in the day of Brahma, right? Whether
Mhm,
that Brahma
mhm.
is a devotee or not devotee, Krishna appears because that's his schedule.
Okay, okay.
So just because Krishna appears, it doesn't mean that Brahma becomes a devotee. So looks like somehow there are chances that some Brahma remains, slightly contaminated even after
Okay,
his
okay.
full lifespan.
Because
So
in the
some of these
past
things
time.
are not,
Mhm.
at least, we might have to read Sandarbhas maybe to get more information. I've not gone into so much depth.
Okay, bro. That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
yeah.
Prabhuji, every Brahma is not born from the lotus flower, from Garda by Krishna and like Vishnu, na? If he is
Mm.
born, then he's hearing all the he's hearing the Vedas.
No,
Then how come the
Vedas by
non?
itself, no, see, that is what I mean. See, Vedas, there are people who know the Vedas, but they don't understand the essence of the Vedas. So, see, the Brahma is chosen to do a certain activity, but because as a Jiva, he still retains his independence. Yeah, it's a very complicated topic. Like I said, not everything can be perfectly understood, at least my level of
No, no problem.
advancement. So maybe, maybe Sandarbhas, see, because other Puranas might not give as much information. Maybe Jiva Goswami in Sandarbha, maybe he's talked about it, or Laghu Bhagavatamrita, which I have not actually gone into as of now. So, but yeah, why what? But the reasoning may, like I said, forget about Krishna, Brahma, Vedas coming out of from Brahma. I mean, if the Brahma actually comes in touch with Krishna, still he remains a non-devotee. That's bewildering, right? So,
Yes.
so we have to see. I mean, maybe there will be some, yeah,
And and
there
what
should
about
be
the
some mysteries, right? So that we'll continue our search. Otherwise, we'll think we know everything. Okay.
yes,
So one
yes.
more question for, yeah.
Sorry, Prabhuji, what like is he a transcendentalist? Because like he can also deliver. So like
He
once he
cannot
gets his
deliver. No, it says
no
he cannot deliver.
no okay.
It says
Yeah,
Brahma
yeah.
because,
He and Vishnu cannot, Shivji
yeah,
cannot deliver,
Shiva
right?
cannot deliver.
But
Yeah.
is he a transcendentalist? Because those who worship him become because they are transcendentalists.
No, no, no. So see, that is why. See, the transcendentalist means the
Yes, sir.
Brahma by definition is just a good follower of Varnashram, right? Now, whether he actually is a person who is now wanting to get liberated, go away from this material world, that is not very. It's not like a given rule
Rule.
because then I mean, then he becomes an impersonalist, right? For example, now, I mean. Yeah, maybe what we have heard so far, at least, is that either he's a devotee or a non-devotee. Now, whether he is a transcendentalist, whether he's a Brahmavadi, Mayavadi, don't know.
Okay. Okay.
Don't know. Yeah, there are
Like
so many things. Yeah,
like the one who went behind his daughter was a non-devotee. That is
yeah,
confirmed.
yeah,
And
yeah,
Prabhuji, like when you say Shivji also cannot deliver, but we
yeah,
say in Kashi, like whoever moksha milta hai, what
yeah.
is that?
But that is he's because he's chanting the name of Rama. He is himself not giving liberation because the holy
Okay.
name is
Okay.
taking the jiva. So that is clear. But
Okay.
yeah, Brahma's specific different positions of Brahma, I think, is why
No,
looks
no,
like
no,
that.
Prabhuji, but the devotee doesn't need to be chanting. He's chanting Shivji and he gets moksha there. So that is because Shivji is chanting Rama. So
Shivji is
how is
telling the name of Rama into the ear of the dying Jiva.
dying Jima? Okay.
Yeah, so the Jiva actually hears Ramanam
So, but
because of the,
then Shivji can deliver, no Prabhu, because he's become an instrument. He's become an
yeah,
instrument in delivery,
As a Vaishnava, that way
right?
all
At
of
the
us
right.
can deliver.
Okay.
When that
Okay,
is the
Prabhu.
reason we say that we have to chant the holy names of Krishna when somebody is
Okay.
giving up their body.
Fine. Fine.
See, but
So
the only
perfect.
difference being that Shivji he's so powerful that possibly his saying the Nama will penetrate through the all the coverings and suffering of the Jiva at that time. right? But ordinary, I mean, maybe some of us are not. If I do, maybe it will not penetrate the darkness, right? So because of the power, that is like a Uttamadhikari devotee, right? That
Okay, yeah,
power,
like a guru. Yes, I
yeah.
understood.
So that will penetrate, and so it is guaranteed that way.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. ये त्वय्यासक्तमनसा कर्मसु श्रद्धयान्विताः अप्रतिसिद्धानि नित्यान्यपि च कृत्स्नशः. Persons who are too addicted to this material world execute their prescribed duties very nicely and with great faith. They daily perform all such prescribed duties with attachment to the fruitive result. Now again, this doesn't apply to Kali Yuga, because people who are too addicted to material world don't execute their prescribed duties. They just do their so-called duties, whatever they've presumed as being their duties. So this possibly doesn't apply to us at all. In this and the following 6 verses, Srimad Bhagavatam criticizes persons who are too materially attached. It is enjoined in the Vedic scriptures that those who are attached to the enjoyment of material facilities have to sacrifice and undergo certain ritualistic performances. They have to observe certain rules and regulations in their daily lives to be elevated to the heavenly planets. It is stated in this verse that such persons cannot be liberated at any time. Those who worship demigods with the consciousness that each and every demigod is a separate god cannot be elevated to the spiritual world. What to speak of persons who are simply attached to duties for upliftment of their material condition? Yeah. So, yeah, this is mostly the situation in Kali Yuga where people are simply attached to some duties for just for material upliftment. But yeah, Vedic um, civilization was based on prescribed duties, varnashrama, and even varnashrama. If somebody's Prabhupada says if somebody doesn't follow varnashrama, is an animal, is uncultured. So cultured human being follows varnashrama, and when somebody follows varnashrama, but if they're attached to fruitive result, then also they cannot go to spiritual world. They couldn't go to Swarga. So Bhagavatam is criticizing those who are too materially attached. रजसा कुण्ठमनसा कामात्मानो जितेन्द्रियाः पितॄन् यजन्ति अनुदिनं गृहेष्वभिरताश्रयाः. Such persons impelled by the modes of passion and full of anxieties and always aspire for sense gratification due to uncontrolled senses. So if we have these qualities, we can understand where we stand. If you're predominated by mode of passion, then we are full of anxieties. We always aspire for sense gratification due to uncontrolled senses. Now, somebody who is engaged in bhakti can also be doing bhakti in this mode. So it's called Mishra Bhakti. They worship the forefathers and are busy day and night improving the economic condition of their family, social, or national life. Of course, devotees may not do this, but yeah, I've also seen many devotees saying that we also have to do all this other Vedic rituals, etc. Yeah, that is for one who is not fully surrendered. One who is fully surrendered, he will just depend on Krishna. Yeah. त्रैवर्गिकास्ते पुरुषा विमुखा हरिमेधसः कथायां कथनीयोरु विक्रमस्य मधुद्विषः. Such persons are called Traivargika because they're interested in the 3 elevating processes. They are averse to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who can give relief to the conditioned soul. They're not interested in the Supreme Personality's pastimes, which are worth hearing because of his transcendental prowess. Actually, it's so, sometimes, this is very difficult to understand. We know so many people who are like doing puja, this, that, like pujaris or so-called brahmanas. But they're not interested in hearing. So they can't come and sit in a class on Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. They can do mantra, patana, puja, and they are supposed to be religious, but they don't have. So yeah, this seems surprising. They're averse to the Supreme Lord because till now I've never seen, like very few like this. Because ideally the pujari category, right? So-called Brahmanas should be our first target for Krishna consciousness. But actually, from our overall experience, it doesn't look like they are. They don't seem to be the easiest target, right? So because they looks like they are ours. According to Vedic thought, there are four elevating principles, namely Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Persons who are simply interested in Kama make plans to execute prescribed duties. They're interested in three elevating process of religious rituals, Dharma, Artha, Kama. By developing their economic condition, they can enjoy material life. Materialistic persons are therefore interested in those elevating processes, which is Dharma, Artha, Kama. So they're called Trivargika. Such materialistic persons are never attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, they're antagonistic towards Him. The personal Supreme Personality of Godhead is here described as Hari Medaha, he who can deliver one from the cycle of birth and death. Materialistic persons are never interested in hearing about the marvelous pastimes of the Lord. They think that their fictions and stories, and that the Supreme Godhead is also a man of material nature. They are not fit for advancing in devotional service or Krishna consciousness, even though they might call themselves religious, dharmic, etc. If people don't believe Supreme Lord and don't have belief in Purana, Shastra, then they're not, then they're as good as atheists. Such materialistic persons are interested in newspaper stories, novels, and imaginary dramas. The factual activities of the Lord, such as Lord Krishna's acting in the Battle of Kurukshetra, or the activities of the Pandavas, or the Lord's activities in Vrindavan or Dwarka, are related in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which are full of activities of the Lord. But materialistic persons who engage in elevating their position in the material world are not interested in such activities of the Lord. They may be interested in the activities of a great politician or a great rich man of this world, which we see. People come to spiritual satsang and they talk about politics. So people are generally interested in all these useless things, but they're not interested in the transcendental activities of the Lord, because when there is politics, they will be all awake and contributing, and when there's discussion about the glories of the Lord, they'll be sleeping in the class. Right? So it's very, very difficult. Sometimes while the process seems so relishable, so nice, so simple, but so many unfortunate souls are out there. So many unfortunate souls. Mm. So really, I mean, whenever we see things like this around us, really we should feel, what can we do? How can we help them? Um, yeah, so unfortunate. Being in India, still these people are not taking up to Krishna consciousness. Uh, what about position of people outside India, right? It's even more pathetic. Mm. Anyway, somehow we have to keep trying, distribute books, do preaching, distribute prasadam, do something to help all these jivas. Okay, I think we are done. So we'll stop here. Any questions, comments? I hope everybody is somehow or the other engaged in promoting Krishna consciousness. Either, if you don't have time, then please support. Prabhupada says support other preaching activities, temples, centers, etc. Because somehow, as a team, we have to push forward. So each of us can play different roles. That is perfectly fine. And if you want to play multiple roles, then that's even better. But at least some role we have to play, right? And in meaningfully promoting, propagating Krishna consciousness. Meaningfully means that with some direction and some goal, working towards some goal. Uh, Sometimes I've seen, like mm, plastering Krishna consciousness, meaning just some, how do I say, um, like some odd one-off. We should not try and create some one-off engagements wherein somebody just experiences Krishna consciousness and there is no subsequent follow-up. There is no process to bring them into devotion, right? Which is better than not doing it. But the best is to have more directed preaching activities, right? Directed means someone can do an outreach, nice outreach. Like, the other day, actually, Rajat Prabhu and myself were discussing, they stay in a nice apartment complex, and we were thinking, we should do a kirtan and we should do some kirtan festival, which is great for outreach. But then the thought process should not end there. The next should be, how do we now engage those people who come there being interested in kirtan, how do we now engage them in Krishna consciousness further? Now, without that thought process, just doing a one-off activity is okay, better than not doing, but it's not the best. So always we should have directed spiritual activities, like with clear direction, step one, step two, step three, etc. Um, which is why sometimes this plastering of the internet with all kinds of attractive speeches, etc., etc., is okay as long as those people somehow get in touch with devotees. Otherwise, it's possibly misleading. So anyway, so the point is somehow we have to contribute, um, either by giving our time, energy, money, combination of all, because otherwise, suffering human beings will not get. We understand all this, right? So the spiritual piety that is required for somebody to come to devotion, many people don't have the spiritual piety. It is the responsibility of, and we call this bhakti unmukhi sukruti. It is a responsibility of devotees to actually give this platform. If we don't give the platform, then we will wait for their natural progression, which might take them lifetimes. Right. So this devotees have been empowered. Krishna has given this special power to devotees to give bhakti to people, even though they are not actually, because it's not karma, because bhakti is independent. It doesn't depend on the karma. So the more we go out, the more we are in touch with materialists, the more they will be benefited. Somehow we have to give them. So please think about this, and we have to somehow engage in propagating this mission. Yeah. Any thoughts, comments of how we can do this in a more effective way? More preaching, more reach out, more outreach. Okay, no thoughts. That's not very good.
Pranam, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhuji, 2 days back, I was traveling and I met some lady in the train. She was sick, and we started a conversation. She was telling that she wakes up at around 1:30 and she's been doing her Nityanem very regularly. She was very
Oh,
good, like lady, and quite enlightened. So I spoke to her about our philosophy and told her about Bhagavad Gita. So
mhm,
she was interested in buying that, and then I downloaded Maharaj's app in her phone. I told her to hear these lectures. I mean, she was like every day, unfailingly, she goes to Golden Temple at around 3 o'clock, 3 a.m., and then she comes back. Like, she was very uh, rigid, like following her religion very uh, nicely. So I just suggested her to read this because I told her you are already doing uh, like you are following your path, and with so much purity and dedication you are doing that. And then just I told her I'll be in touch. So I just wanted to know, Prabhuji, what uh, do they follow? Like they um, believe in Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji so much.
mhm.
So it's like our Bhagavad Gita or what? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's um, they believe in the scripture. They believe in the book.
Mhm.
Now I don't know completely what their philosophy is. Um,
Mhm.
but generally they are more, while they are supposed to be kshatriyas, but they're very convinced. They're very committed.
Right,
Um,
right.
right.
Mhm.
So whether ultimately, I don't know. I mean, maybe if others know, they can pitch in, because I'm not interacted so much with Sikhs. So
That's why even I didn't said so much, but I told her to read Bhagavad Gita.
yeah,
That will
Bhagavad
help me.
Gita should be read any which way. I mean, see,
Right,
when we give them Bhagavad Gita, automatically their whatever thought process can get corrected,
right.
if at all, right? But giving that book is our role, right? And then following up, and yeah, we can try and answer their questions. And when we start becoming, have more interactions with them, we can also understand what their philosophy is, what they think, what their
Right, right.
current understanding is, etc. But yeah, I'm not had an opportunity to. I'm not sure.
And I gave her that app also. I downloaded that. It is also fine, Prabhuji, because
Yeah, no, but that is actually, see, always first
mm,
step should just be Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, always, right?
okay. Mhm.
Because when people just start hearing very higher topics and this and that, they'll possibly get confused, switched off, etc. Right? So
Maybe I can
Bhagavad
speak to
Gita
her
is,
and tell her that you read Bhagavad
yeah,
Gita.
read Bhagavad Gita, help her understand Bhagavad Gita, and if she can understand English, then Prabhupada's lectures are there. First, it is important to give them Srila Prabhupada, right?
Okay.
Then everybody else can follow later, at suitable time. But because see, they should not get attached to a person. They should get attached to Bhagavad Gita. They should get attached to Srila Prabhupada.
Right, right.
Then based on their propensities, whatever, right? I mean, that next question is a subsequent question, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, so you can help her understand Bhagavad Gita, maybe walk her through verses with just basic knowledge. Give basic
Right,
knowledge
right.
of each verse, and help her. Maybe
Mhm.
you can ask her if she has some fixed time slot, maybe half an hour a day. Something so that you can engage with her more in a more structured manner.
Right, right.
Walk her through,
Mhm.
help her through understanding. Yes, Prabhu.
Mhm.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhu, please.
Guru Granth Sahib, I have heard also, I read also little bit.
Uh-huh.
It is totally about Hari, surrender to Hari and Ram.
Okay.
Nothing else is Guru, Hari and Ram.
Okay.
There is nothing else word is there. Only little bit they are because they does not in deity worship actually there actually. So
Right.
otherwise total if you go through I think thousands time Hari name is there, 1,000 time Ram is there.
Okay.
And I was in one function was there, that 6 I was there, and the Gyaniji was giving a lecture. He clearly said on Bhagavad Gita and like that way कि कृष्ण से बड़ा भगवान कोई नहीं है, वही एक भगवान है, बाकी सब नहीं है. He simply one line he said actually simply like
Okay.
that.
So that means
They're
that
understanding that way actually only
so,
deity they does not believe in deity worship actually.
that is okay. But
And onion garlic thing also they don't follow, I think.
oh, okay,
They
very
serve
nice.
in langar onion. I don't know.
In I think langar they do not serve. Langar they do not serve. Langar only dal, roti and kada prasad halwa. Suji halwa generally
Okay, so that means it's a good opportunity, Ruchira Mataji. So you should then push forward.
Yes, and Prabhuji, one more thing she told me, like I showed her my deities. So she told me it's not right to put